All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition, the Round 2 Showdown Show here on the Mail Media Network, collaboration with SHIPIT Nation. You guys can do us a favor on the way in, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments what you had going on today. We got some stuff to go through here. First solo show in a little while. So I'm going to be doing the solo show this way. We're going to try and get them out immediately after the round ends or within range. Right now, I think last I looked, my Canadian guy, Ben Silverman, I think was one of the last guys on the course. He's moving to 18 now. Both sides are. So looks like we'll get into it here pretty quickly, but we'll be back tomorrow night. I'll be doing the round 3 showdown show over on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. So get over there if you guys haven't already. Make sure to subscribe to that. And then also we'll be back on Saturday for the round 4 showdown show with my guy Hoopster. We're just, all going to be doing as much as we can right now to fill in, cover all these shows for you guys. Appreciate you out there just sticking with us. Let's look at it though. Let's see. I know we had a pretty good day over at SHIPIT Nation. I didn't want to jinx it or mush it, as they like to say over there. I want to see though real quick, because I know our guy was winning the main one there. I Love Rory up top, and I think it's over. Yeah, it's definitely over. So we were looking at Cut Sweat's data. Shout out to Nelson, Adcock, next world champ. He's in 4th as of right now, but pull that up and just see. Got a little bit of stuff going on. We're going to get through all of it. I'm going to pull up the weather. Going to go through the pricing, look at it in the optimizer, go through the tiers, talk about all of that, how we're going to handle it going into tomorrow. But first things first, let me pull this one up here for you guys and switch it over. There we go. Let's zoom it up. And J Money 87 is I Love Rory, says not bad for 4 lineups. And we played the early wave. I think a lot of people did. Shout out to Dat Fu King Guy. Says, "Sup, mother fathers. Great tips yesterday. Helped me hit green in the showdown." We talked through this last night, went through the strategy, and pretty much said that exact same thing. Like, it doesn't matter if you have 150, 100, whatever you want to put in. If you're playing the angle of the morning wave and getting after it, you're going to have to just hope you got the right guys. Clearly, I Love Rory got the job done, had the right guys, and then hang on and hold. I know he was checking out the Cut Sweats live showdown simulation data all afternoon, watching it down the stretch. I think it was actually M. Pendle, who's an incredible player, had Tom Kim go with the bogey-free round and the birdie on 18, and it was just came up just short, but it cost him a little bit from 2nd to 3rd. And then Nelson himself, next world champ, I think he had Olesen and would have needed like a 3 birdies down the stretch and the streak or whatever to make it happen, and did not come through there, but he still got 4th place. So shout out to Nelson. But yeah, we're going to hop right into this. Got a few other things. Do want to remind everyone, it's back. I updated it. The first time in a long time I pulled this out on the old X Twitter machine. But Eric Cole, take the plane. It was incredibly bad yesterday for him. I think everyone was surprised to see his ownership come in. Like, we had him 18, 19 in places, 20 in other places, but he came in at 24%. Ends up going 7 over on the day, lost 6 strokes on approach across 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 5 or 6 really bad holes for him. Still made 3 birdies, but man, bad day. So first time in a long time I've sent somebody on a plane on a Thursday. Only once in the history ever got this wrong and had to walk it back. So see how it goes with Mr. Eric Cole. We'll talk more on him in a second. Do want to remind everyone quickly up front, today is the last day to get in the giveaway, and I changed it yesterday on the show. I talked about it. You can go over to mine at ToeTagginTambo. You just have to like, repost, and then follow at SHIPIT Nation. And we were just going to give away 3 copies of the actual PGA DFS process course that Hoop and I did. But then we decided, because it comes free with every membership, I'm actually going to give away 3 monthly memberships. So if you're looking to get in at ShipItNation.com, go to this giveaway right now. Follow the quick 2-3 steps here and get the job done that way. If you want a free mini course, just the showdown portion, which is what you're here for today, the round 2 show, you can go to ShipItNation.com, simply put in your email, sign up. We'll send it over. It's about 15, 20 minutes where you'll get just that portion of the course, not the entire thing. If you guys do want to get on the action, you can check it out now. Go to PGA. When you get to the site, click the banner. You can use this code Hoop 15. We're also announcing this tomorrow. So it's the last chance to get in with code Hoop 15. Gets you 15% off any plan. So if you want to get the annual for just golf, you want to get the monthly for like $33, whatever it is, you want to go to all access, the monthly drops down to $58. You get all the sports. We're going to have MMA, NASCAR, we got NBA tonight, NHL, all kinds of stuff going on. And then annual drops to $509. If you just said, forget it, I'm done paying for these other sites, just want to get in with you guys. We'll show off more later, but let's hop into this one and let's go right into the pricing, the tiers. I'll pull up the weather first. Any questions you guys have, you can throw them into the chat, but our weather guy over at SHIPIT Nation, Deep Fat, he throws it in. We put it up on the site under the stone. He had looked at it, and I'm seeing the same thing right now. There is winds throughout the day tomorrow. They did sort of push up a little bit, but it does still look like it's going to be a little less windy in the morning. So going to look to target that, attack it that way. I don't think it's horrible, though, if you want to put some guys in. There was some low rounds in the afternoon. I'll go more on that in a second. But just to say, if you do want to play guys in the morning, I call them, like, that's a 6-0 if you go all in. But I'm saying I think you can play some 5-1s and get away with the 2. You can obviously get away with more if you land on the perfect spot, but I like to play my lineups this way, kind of how our guy I Love Rory did today, and just get after it that way. So we'll talk through some of it. Who are some of the guys we can get different with down there? The pricing did stay similar up top, like Rory's 12-1. You go to Cam Young, drops off down to 10-6 and down from there. But as you see at the bottom, no 5K range. They did this last week in Showdown as well. I would guess, to be honest, it's like their software or whatever, the back end, where they just probably don't have it set up in Showdown yet to have 5K pricing. Maybe I'm wrong, but usually that's the way DraftKings does things. So just want to see here. And Ross just said they didn't even finish the round today. What was it? I didn't get the update here yet. Play suspended due to darkness. So really ridiculous, to be honest, that this continues to happen. But I will say it doesn't really matter. Like if you go to this round here right now, just let me have a quick look. I had it up here just 2 seconds ago. It's what do we got? If it's all these guys, I don't believe it probably would be because both sides, but Perez, McIntyre, Silverman, Rasmus, Hogard, Braden, Shattuck, Pearson Coody, Toasty, and Lindheim are all through 17. So it's not going to be anything special for the morning. Like everyone's pretty much done. It's whatever. It doesn't affect our guy winning it or anything like that. I can tell you that just looking at that stuff. So probably affect some people somewhere, but just want to let you guys know the information as we get it. So that was one thing. The other thing, just to go back to it too, pulling it up here on Data Golf, just so you guys can get it, was the overall setup. So the wave, the morning wave went almost, what was it, 0.8 or so of a stroke. So almost a full stroke better by going out in the morning. Better on hole 3. It looks like the afternoon still got the best of the, if you want to call it noon improved hole 10. I know there's a lot of disappointment out there. Probably not improved to most as they wanted it. But yeah, either way, there was lower scores. People aren't happy with it. I get it, but we got to play with what we got at stake. That's how we always do it. So is what it is. I mean, you look at last year, it's this year overall, I can tell is way lower. But if you look at last year, like the way it went, like Billy Horschel, Bramlett, somebody else were all up at the top. They basically shot the equivalent of I think it was a 5 under last year. So it'd be a 6 under this year. Like it's not that far off from what we're seeing at the top. I know we've seen this certain times, majors, things like this, where there's clear separation at the very top. And then down from there, it changes. But either way, I would just say, like, you can only play with what's put in front of you. I guess one thing to remember in the back of our minds that I didn't really fully think of or remember either is new sponsor can sometimes mean new setup. Let's see something a little bit different. They said, I don't necessarily love it myself, and to each their own, whatever you like out there. But I will say sometimes when we get these new sponsors, we do see a little bit of a different scoring setup. So that's just something to keep note for next year, for other events throughout this year, all the stuff as we see different sponsors hop on. Let's hop into it. If you guys don't have the solver, you can go over to get it through SHIPIT Nation. If you go over here, go to SHIPIT Nation, go projections, the solver, it loads up this page with our logo at the top. And then as it states, we have 2 more new sports to add now with NASCAR and college football, but it does come preloaded with the SHIPIT Nation player projections and the ownership projections as well. So whatever you sign up for and get in on, you can get everything here. And the one thing I like about it, and it'll be better as the week goes on, it doesn't show it here, but if we just go back to Classic for 2 seconds, we added this yesterday just so you guys can see it. We did add into the cut percentage and the win equity. So if you're doing your hand builds and stuff like that, you can have an idea of what that looks like. If you go back to Showdown, you'll see that in round 4 as well when we get there. But for right now, let's move to round 2. And the nice focus here is that we have all our tee times. So I was actually showing this off last night. I mean, sometimes everybody does it different, but if you want just a little bit of process going through it on how I would use something like this, the way I always do my player pool is I'll turn everybody off. If I am wave stacking or going through a weather wave or something like that, you can just switch it up and say, okay, I want all the guys in the morning. And then I don't know if you have two monitors or on your phone and your computer, your laptop and your computer, whatever it looks like, you can just set it up so that you sort of know who you're picking as you go down throughout. So for me, this will be updated later, but just to show off something else, the Degenerate 75, who all of our thoughts and prayers are with right now, everybody knows this, sort of a little bit of health issues going on, taking care of himself. We're covering off as many shows as we can in our own way, try and help out while he's out. He's usually doing our round 3 and round 4 shows on top of the Wednesday emergency stream, but the stone is still being taken care of. And this is an incredible tool that he invented, the best tool in PGA DFS. Now, this is for last week, but I'm still going to show it off because it will be updated again for tonight. It'll be updated round 2 through round 4. But if you want the golfers, their prices on both sites, what we think their ownership is going to be in Showdown, specifically changed, their projections and ceiling, which are also adjusted based on situational items like the weather and the wave. And do we think tomorrow's round is going to be 0.8 strokes better or whatever it may be? It gets adjusted for that. You see what they shot in the previous round. Their tee times are right on here. Their win percentage, their top 5 percentage, which not as important in just a single round of Showdown, but does come into play heavily in round 4. And then the biggest thing, though, is all the data is right on here. Some of their regression stats, their round 4, in this case, it was round 4, but it'll have their history for other rounds. The true approach, which is really powerful on a course like this, because it actually will take out, here's one example. We're going to get to this guy when we go through the stream, but Lucas Glover today, 3 under, bogey-free round, still looks really good on paper because he still gained almost a stroke on approach, lost almost a stroke and a half with the putter. People will go to him, forget the ownership there for a second, but just to look at it, on hole 3, he actually lost almost 2 strokes on approach on that par 5 and still gained almost a stroke on approach overall. So when you're looking at that, that's what the true approach sort of will do for you, where it's going to kick out some of these outliers. And then you're going to see someone like him look even better because it was really just one bad hole. And shout out to Steven. James was in the Discord today and said, he said, man, I haven't fed that guy in a week. But I said, don't worry, because our guy Go Collect is always out there. He got the donuts and the coffee. He's taking care of the guy in the back. So shout out to you. Appreciate that. And you bringing that up. But yeah, this tool will have all that on it. So what I do is I'll have this tool on my other monitor. I'll load up back to the solver here, which I'll go to, and we'll start going through these tiers. And I'll just have it where, maybe by price to start, I can find out who I want because the stone is organized by price. You can download the Excel file as well and then be able just to sort it your own way by tee time and match it up. But I just choose to do it this way. I'll turn on, okay, I want Russell Henley. Or he could, Eric Cole. You go to a guy like him, right? You put him in there. You can do that. They have those tee times. But if I see something on the stone that I want, I'll fill this out. I'll get everybody on there. You can change it to just your selected players so your pool is up. And then you can start to go into your rules or generate your lineups or whatever that might be. So I definitely think it's a cool way to use it. It's not for everybody, but it's definitely one way to look at it just to be a little bit different. So for this stream, we are just going to go through the tiers by the pricing. We'll do like 9,500 and up to start. If you guys have questions, definitely could throw them into the chat. I saw Todd Kyle already asked about a guy, and I'll pull stats as we go for each of them, but said, were Bez and Svensson the 7K donkey chalk to avoid for week long? Are they both good bounce back candidates? Definitely we're in that donkey chalk range. If I just pull up those guys real quick. So Svensson, 3 birdies today, left all 3 of the par 5s out there. I'm not sure yet. Let's see here. If we go to Svensson over here, his price tag, 7,700 and goes out early in round 2. Make sure I'm on it. Yeah, I am. So I definitely Svensson would be a bounce back candidate for me. Who's the other guy you said was Bez? So Bez went 1 under today, gained almost 3 strokes with the putter, took care of 2 of the 3 par 5s, and then overall 4 birdies. But I think he's fine. Like if you look at his, again, he has bad approach stats when you pull him up, but it's 1, 2, 2.5 holes, kind of, if you want to put it all together to say that he could definitely bounce back. So I think either of them would be options that you could go with. But just going through it here again, Rory, solid day, Cam Young, solid day. The nice thing about this strategy where, sometimes people say it's like I know I hear it all the time. People, it's a lazy approach. Just going to play all the morning guys. And that's all they're going to say. That's people are going to mention. Well, we have a reason to believe it's going to be in a good spot, but it's a win-win because and it may be a lose in the end if you don't get there with it. But what I'm saying is if you do look at these rounds, like obviously Rory looks good and it's Rory McIlroy, but he also went out in the perfect conditions this morning that we just talked about, played almost a stroke better. Cam Young, same thing. So while they're flipping, you're hoping that some ownership gets attached to them. But again, if these guys ended up being your 5-1s in the example I gave earlier, you don't have to follow my strategy, make your own. But I'm just saying, if you were going with it and you have 5 guys that you like going out in the morning, but then you want to attach a Rory McIlroy, of course, that's fine. Like nobody's ever going to talk you off that. You use a guy like Rory into your lineups here. You got to turn him on to put him in. You still have 7,600 left. Even though there is no 5K price range, there's a ton of plays down here that you could go to or guys that you could put in. So I got no problem with those guys, but just going through from 9,500 and up, there's not much to choose from if you are going to morning tee times. So that would be my first tip going into tomorrow is I would not care at all about salary being left on the table. So if you got 3,500 left on the table, that's fine. I mean, there's going to be upgrades and you're going to say, but why? But it's because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys above 9K that are in this range. And you're probably not going to even love all of them. And you're not going to want to fully commit to them. I don't think any of them did anything that crazy. Let's just pull it up here and go through just those guys, just because the top range is one people actually care quite a bit about. Well, Fitzpatrick, 1 under. He took care of 2 of the 3 par 5s. One of them was an eagle. Other than that, just 2 birdies on the card. So nothing super spectacular there. Eric Cole, I mean, you can take the risk on him for sure because, he made just as many birdies as birdies or better as Fitzpatrick today. He just threw all those doubles and the triple. I think he had a triple, on the card as well. So 2 doubles, a triple, 3 other bogeys. But it just depends on if you think a guy like him is going to go out and give a shit or not. Like, I don't see any chance that he makes the cut regardless of what his round looks like. So will he go in the water as much though? No. So I think if you're playing, you're going to get him at almost low to no ownership. I have no problem going to Eric Cole if you want to get different in the pool. Just again, stats are horrible. We know it. We see it, but other people are going to say the same thing. Henley, really interesting round. I went back to check just to make sure. He did start on 1. So he had nothing going on. 8 through 11, he goes birdie, 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 4 in a row, and then has nothing going on to round it out either. He left 1, 2 of the 3 par 5s out there, lost 2 strokes on approach, but it was really just 2 holes, hole 14 and hole 3. So I actually like going back to him. He's a week-long donkey chalk. So if you want to go back to him, or he might have been a chalk or chalk, but you could go back to him definitely. He's here at 9,500. And then Tom Kim, believe was a 3 under bogey-free round. I'm just going to pull it up to check. Nose is bothering me and running a little bit. I apologize, guys, but just to go through it here, Tom Kim is 3 under, bogey-free, like I thought, on the round, and he took care of 2 of the 3 par 5s. Solid stats across the board, though. So again, I think Tom Kim would be the popular morning guy at just 9,200. It's easy to go back to him here. Makes perfect sense. So I think that's going to be an option that people choose. So Tom Kim looks like a guy that people will go to. Keep it going here and go down. Let's see what this next range looks like. So Kirk, Mitchell, Connors, who else do we got? We'll just go 8,000 up to 9,400. So who did I miss here? Benny Ann, don't care. Tom Kim, we just talked about. Steven Yeager, I missed like a 4-foot putt that I know was costly for some, so that's brutal. Lowry and Kirk. Kirk definitely was going off early. Went off early and was going off early. I think he ended up putting a bogey on the card. Yeah, he started on the back 9 with a streak. 10, 11, 12 right out of the gate. Makes a birdie on 17, a bogey on 17, bounces back on 18, really slow front 9 for his back 9 when he went through it, but don't love his tee time, but again, looked good. Stats are solid across the board. Who's the other guy I said I was going to look up for you? Lowry. Lowry was solid across the board as well, pretty much with the stats. A lot of putter, but solid off the tee, solid on approach, solid overall, really. 1, 2, 3, 4 birdies and a eagle. I think, again, if you're picking some of the afternoon guys, they're fine. But let's look at Sungjae. He was a guy that went out there, 1, 2, 3, 4 birdies, 2, 1 of the par 5s left out there, 2 bogeys, and a double. But one thing about Sungjae I want to note to you is that, while he looks bad on paper on approach, hole 15, he lost over 2 strokes on approach. So he would have been positive on the day if just that doesn't happen. I know if what's the one of my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle. Like that, yeah, we get the ifs and ends and buts, but just to say it, I think that's something that you would want to keep in mind. I'm fine going back to the well on Sungjae. Minwoo Lee, 1, 2, 3, 4 birdies and an eagle, left a couple streak opportunities out there. He did take care of the par 5s, but he's kind of the opposite. You go look at him, and on paper, if you're just scanning the stats and pulling up the guys that did well on approach and lost with the putter and had a good round, he's going to look awesome. He had a 4-under round. He gained almost a stroke and a half on approach, and he lost with the putter. That's like the telltale sign of what you want, and I'm fine mixing him into your pool. I'm not saying go off of him, but the eagle, which was the majority of his 4-under scoring, and his approach stats, gaining over 1.5 strokes on approach, he gained almost 1.7 just on that one eagle. So that's the key that you have to take away, is it doesn't always mean that it's going to be that. So, Nick's already in here talking about his Cole play. Cole winning me all the money tomorrow. I think in Showdown, I like it. Like, again, just it's one round. Nothing he did today matters. So I'm fine with it. The thing is, Illini fan 13, less than 2% if you think he doesn't bitch quit. That's the thing. You have to know that's the risk, but to me, that's worth the risk when the ownership is going to be nothing, because if he bitch quits, and it's no different than if you play a guy that you think is going to do good and they suck. Just because they had good stats today and they look perfect on paper. Think about Eric Cole, used the same guy, same concept, classic slate. Looked good, looked really good, looked even better than the 18% people had him projected for to get to 24%, and goes out and plays like absolute shit. So that would be one thing I would note, just to say that. But let me see here. Got to see too, because NBA locks in 10 minutes. And one of the things about just doing the show immediately when the round ends, I just wanted to see if I needed to make any changes here. Just playing a little single entry action tonight, but so far, so good. So let's keep it rolling. Let's go through here. That concept, though, definitely would stand out to me, where tomorrow, who gives a shit? He's 2%. If he blows it, fine. If he doesn't, then he's in your mix at 2% owned or something, or 3% owned, or whatever he ends up coming in at. Everybody wanted him in round one, but they don't want him in round two because of a bad round one. It's not to say it's going to be the same, conditions different, possibly all these different factors. So back to him, I was just fine on that concept or that thought if you did want to go there. Let's keep it moving. Let's go down through. Jerry Matt, shout out to my guy Matthew. He says, is Gary Woodland back? Let's go look him up. We'll get to the range soon, but I like sometimes just looking these things up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 birdies left. One of the par fives out there. He did have a double on the card, but man, he definitely looks back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes, really solid on approach. And he's another example. His approach is just okay. He looks 0.5, like people look it up, 0.5 on approach. It's not that crazy. And he only went 1 under, but we don't care about the score. We care about the scoring. And that's what it comes down to in Showdown. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 birdies, like I talked about, left a really good streak opportunity out there on 2, lost almost a stroke with the putter just on that one hole, which would have connected 1 and 3. What else? He lost another one there too. There was something else, one of the par fives. Yeah, the last par 5 made bogey on it. So I think he's fine. What's his tee time tomorrow? Just out of curiosity, not that it matters, but he's out early, 6,800. I definitely think he's interesting for Showdown as well. And what I was going to add about the approach as well, it only shows 0.5. He had between hole 7 and hole 11, he lost over 2 strokes on approach just on those 2 holes. So what's up, Charlie? How you doing, man? Just keep putting your questions in the chat if you have any for sure. So, there he is. Charlie says, I like Luke List. So let's have a look at Luke List. I know Luke List goes out early because I played him in some PMA on stacks, and he had 3 birdies left, 2 of the par fives out there. Another guy, very similar to what I just talked about. It's almost the exact same. 0.3 on approach, not that good, only 1 under on the round. But then you go and look, holes 3 and hole 16 is almost 2 strokes of approach that he lost. That could have been the difference. So, and you missed this part, Nick. You did not miss this part. Good call out. The lottery, horrible as always, but 50K up top. So if you do want a chance at 50K, I will say this, going back, if you didn't catch this part off the top, I said, shout out to our guy, I Love Rory. But the best part about our guy, I Love Rory, and that logo being up top, member winning, is 4 entries only. Gets the job done. The one thing about the lottery, when you're playing in a wave and you're hoping that it goes your way, I said this last night when we did our chat, is it doesn't matter if you have, it's the same in anything. If you have 500 lineups, but you stacked the PM wave, you probably weren't getting up there. Whether you had 500, 1,000, whatever it was be, you can only put 150. But my point is, if you're playing a wave advantage and hoping that something goes your way and it ends up going that way, it really doesn't matter how many lineups you guys have in there. So I think that was kind of the cool takeaway. You can do that tomorrow as well. If it ends up going favorable for us, it's 50K instead of 20K. So I'm not as opposed to it. I just wouldn't, as far as contest selection, bankroll management, sustainability, everything our guy DGen always talks about. not the best when it comes to that. The $10 18 max, his baby, is still out there. That looks really good, but they're played cautious on it. They put it $20K total prize pool, only $2K, 200 for first and 10th. The 555 isn't horrible, but again, not the bankroll that most people have to go out and play. And then the 250 is, I believe, the 254 max, which I like, but it's smaller than usual. So just something to note to keep in mind as you go through. But yeah, the contest selection is not the best, but there's always positive light you can find in everything. So I try and find it in something like that. Let's keep it going here. I think Noren was another guy I wanted to talk about. He's coming up in this range. So Noren went 4 under. Let's see. Kind of interesting. So 1, 2, 3 holes were the majority of what he gained on approach. He did have 5 birdies and an eagle and a streak and left one of the par 5s out there. So a really high chance that, I can see going back to him tomorrow. But another interesting thing is he also lost almost 2 strokes on approach just on hole 15. So, it could have been even better for Noren, I think. So I definitely like him. It's hard to follow up a good round, but when he had the good round in what was the wave that was almost a stroke worse, he now gets to go out in the morning. And we must be getting close to Eric Van Rooyen on here because Rin is stepping in saying, hope everyone is well. Let me translate that for you guys and let you know what it means. It means, I hope you're well. Also, by the way, reminder, EVR is still the man and shot 5 under. That's exactly what he meant with that comment. I can translate it now. I know where you're going, old sheepdog. He's got the take on him. He went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 birdies and an eagle with the streak while leaving one of the par 5s out there. Another guy that's going to show it, like, again, prime example. I'm jumping ahead, but it's fine. He goes out in the morning. Don't hate it. Most people won't chase this round, and that's fine. But the reason most people won't chase it is twofold. They'll say lost strokes on approach and gained almost 4 with the putter. It is true. That's what you'll see on the stats if you just look at them on the surface. The second part is, okay, let's do the first part and finish it out. With that said, there's 2 holes here, hole 13 and really hole 17. He lost almost 2 strokes on approach just across those 2 holes. If that showed up any different, then you'd say, wow, that was there. I don't think people are going to deep dive and look into it as much. But then it's twofold because, like I said, if you look at it from the other perspective, people say, all right, Tambo, even if that's the case, even if you want to give him those strokes on approach, he's a loser and he can't do that again with the putter. It's what I always say. People confuse this every week, also often. I'm not saying he's going to gain almost 4 with the putter again, but again, he doesn't have to. What if he gains 1.5 with the putter, but he doesn't lose that 1.5 on approach and he still puts up 4 birdies and a streak, or 5 birdies a streak, 4 birdies a streak and an eagle? Anything could happen again tomorrow and he could still come through. He left the par 5 out there. There was 3 really bad holes, 1 extremely bad hole, losing almost 2 on approach, like I talked about. So there is other ways that you can still get him in there and make it happen. And what we got to hope is that people that are just looking at the surface stats aren't doing it that way, aren't going with them because of that, and are just doing it their way and not considering that. Let's look up some of these other early guys. Let's look up Rose, Hoagie, Todd, Pendrith. Let's see, Rose, 1, 2, 3, 4 birdies, left a couple streak opportunities out there. Only 1 bad hole was a double. Another guy, so that double bogey cost him almost 2 strokes on approach, or he would look really good. So I like Rose for sure. Hoagie was the next one I said. Hoagie is the one that people will go to, and for good reason. I mean, he gained almost 2 strokes on approach. It was pretty even across the board, and he definitely lost over 2 strokes with the putter, left a par 5 out there, didn't make many birdies because of that putter, though. But the thing about the putter, it was really evenly spread. So a very challenging day for old Tom Cheesesteak Hoagie on the greens. Who else did I want to look up? I said Todd, even par. Nothing to write home about, but I think he's fine. Left all 3 par 5s out there and still made 3 birdies. So if you were looking for some positives with Todd, I think that would be it. And then Pendrith looks really good too, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birdies left. Took care of the par 5s. Solid on approach across the board. Could have been even better. Lost almost a stroke on approach just on hole 15. And then lost 2 strokes pretty much with the putter. Another guy like Hoagie, though, it was pretty even. There was 2 really bad holes, holes 6 and 9, but the rest was pretty even. So Pendrith is fine and probably gets a little less ownership. No, not going to this guy again. Not talking about Stanger. Well, maybe we got to talk about him a little just for hoop's sake. What do you do? 2 under. Why would you ever play Eric Cole when you could just play Jimmy Stanger? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birdies. took care of all the par fives, solid on approach, pretty good across the board. I think he's going to have that afternoon tee time, but 6,400, bake that into your analysis as well, where if you're going to go, again, you don't have to even go with all morning guys. I'm just mentioning this, my sort of idea and strategy, but mixing in some of the afternoon guys, one of the things I would say, if you're mixing in a guy up top, like we said, like a Rory or someone like that, who gives a shit, because these guys can all play golf in any conditions. Rory, Young, whoever you want to put in that's already had a great round one, I'm good with it. But if you are looking down the board, I would also factor in price. If you're looking at a guy like Stanger, I know he's the joke of the week, but he's not. He hasn't been so far at 2 under at that 0.4% ownership that we got him at, that sweet 0.4% ownership that Hoop loved. But if you do want to go back to him, at least, put him into some of your lineups, he's fine. He's 6,400. Maybe he doesn't really kill you. So yeah, we do the show in order, and it starts with weather, and we do it by pricing tier, and it's already past that. So if you guys just want to rewind back, would appreciate it. Definitely helps it. You can just go back to that part. We go right through tier by tier as I'm doing now. So let's keep it rolling. Let's go. Somebody mentioned earlier about Svensson and Bez. Already touched on them. We touched on Noren. I think those guys are all fine. Let's get down past Pendrith here and see some of these other guys. If you have other ones that we're getting to, by all means, bring them up if you're sticking with us or you're live, and that'll help people that are behind you. But Taylor, someone brought up Ben Taylor. Where's he at in here? He is 6,100. So we'll get to that way later, but just I'll bring him up now and talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birdies, left a par 5 out there, really messed up a streak opportunity on 4. He could have made one there, could have made one on 15. I mean, those are ifs again. I just bring him up because I'm looking for any type of data point that I can find that maybe is a little bit deeper than others are going to dive. And that's just one thing that I'll look at to bring it up as well. Let's go back to the range that we were already in. It keeps resetting on me, but just to go back here. Of the afternoon guys, a couple here just to see it. I think Horschel, talked about him all week. Should have clicked him a lot more. What'd we say? He was firing up for this swing. It was going to be impossible for people to click him. Not that Doug Gim did horrible. Gim is 3 under, and there's a long way to go still tomorrow. But just to note, Horschel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 birdies. Still left. Took care of the par 5s. I thought he left one out. So he made a bogey on 16, but only one bogey on the entire round. And his approach, very solid across the board. It wasn't just one great hole. He played really well. His putter, really solid. So Horschel would be a guy I'd be okay with in that afternoon wave. I know Hadley got the highlight reel. They were showing off. What'd he do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 birdies. Took care of 2 of the par 5s out of 3. Bogey-free round. Pretty solid stats. I don't know about backing that round up, but I feel good about a guy like Horschel there. Davis Thompson, I was keeping an eye on too. Just let me see him real quick. He is afternoon as well, but 4 under round. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 birdies, an eagle. Took care of all the par 5s. Pretty evenly dispersed on everything. Lost a little bit. Lost a stroke and a half with the putter, actually. So I think he would be fine for the afternoon as well. Let's keep it moving here. Let's go. Novak Nation. We can bring him up. He's one last afternoon guy I'll cover from here just to see it. To give you something. So he ended up going 6 under, as everybody saw, even with a bogey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 birdies, an eagle, and took care of the par 5s. Pretty even across the board on approach, and even the one really good hole on 15, it was only gained a stroke on approach on that hole, but he lost back a half of it on 7. So it's not the worst round. It's really tough to back that kind of round up. So I definitely think that's a bit of a challenge here. So Thompson, someone said, I think we just covered him actually. Davis Thompson said putter was horrible. Yeah, it was legit horrible. It was 2 holes that cost him big time, but all the other holes were just like hit or miss. So nothing really there. Someone mentioned Fox. I like Fox too. Again, only we'll see 2 under on paper. People see really bad off the tee. That was 1 or 2 holes basically, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birdies and left all 3 of the par 5s out there. So I actually think Fox is pretty interesting at 7,200. SH Kim, I think someone brought him up earlier. Obviously had a really good round as well. T1 to get to 7 under. Now, SH Kim is going out in the morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birdies and an eagle. Bogey-free round. Took care of the par 5s, but let me just see here. Around the green game was really just a couple of holes that caused that. So very solid around the green. Approach 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pretty bad holes, gathered up to about 2 strokes lost on approach, but overall still took care of it with the around the green and the short game. So if you think that can continue, one thing I definitely think SH Kim is capable of is that, and liked him a little bit for week long just because of that reason. I think he was 6,400 in week long. So just the classic slate stuff, if you were looking at it there, that's what you would have got. And that's why you would have been playing him. Ben Griffin, 1 birdie on the entire day. It doesn't scream like anything special for tomorrow. Did lose a bunch with the putter, still solid on approach, but man, that's, there's some plays that you could just play where, forget who it was today. Someone said like, oh, Corey Connors lost the bogey free. And yeah, that sucks. We all want the bogey free. I do too. But at the same time, there was still like some haywire rounds out there where people just went nuts and still outscored him. Even if he would have got a par on the last, it would have been a 3 under, 3 birdie, random birdie spots, no streaks, bogey free round. It's a great score, but it's not what you're going to need to take it down or the nuts because there's just nothing that went with it. I'd rather the Gary Woodland round of like 7 birdies, double bogey here, a bogey there, and a bunch of other stuff with the streak. Like that's the type of stuff I would be looking for more often than not. Let's look up, who's the other one here? Somebody mentioned Adam Schenk. 1, 2, 3 birdies and an eagle. Took care of the par fives. I don't see anything too special there with Schenk. Not a lot of these guys stood out here. Glover was one I'll look up quickly. Glover was really solid across the board. Now, Glover's like the Corey Connors light. He just did everything I just talked about. It was 3 birdies randomly, no streak, bogey-free round. He got that score. But again, it's going to be a little bit more valuable when you get it at 7,100 versus the 9K range or whatever Connors was in. And he also left 2 of the par fives out there, gained almost a stroke on approach while losing over a stroke and a half on the 3rd hole alone. So definitely have a little bit of interest there in Glover as well. So just trying to think of some of these guys as I go throughout here. We do put all the content up after the fact, but Glover would be a guy that stood out that I was just going to mention there. Who else did the chat have? Carson Young. Did I pass him? No, Carson Young's coming up next at 6,900. So we'll go to Carson Young next and move from there. Who else do we got? Carson Young, Montgomery, don't care. Sig. Let me see what Sig and Juan did too. Carl Yuan. He got even par on the day, 4 birdies, left the par 5 out there. Very solid on approach. Lost almost 3 strokes with the putter. So old crazy Carl could be a guy you go back to. Sig was 1 under on the day, just nothing exciting, not a lot of scoring, more like a grinder. And if you see the morning where there's going to be scoring again, I want these crazier rounds. So Carson Young, okay, so Carson Young would fit the mold. Carson Young had 1, 2, 3, 4 birdies, an eagle, left the par 5 out there, gained over a stroke and a half on approach pretty evenly across the board. Don't care about anything else really. The putter was up, down. It was a little bit up on the day, but solid off the tee. 1 really bad putt on 2 cost him a potential streak. And the fact, I don't know what he started on, but if someone knows that could be something as well. So C Young is another guy, the good C Young. But again, both the C Youngs, they're now challenging each other. And yeah, Carson Young goes out very early tomorrow off of 1. So he's fine. Definitely like that play. Who else? If you guys have others, throw them out there. Woodland, we already looked up. Don't care about Cam Champ. Stallings, no. Toasty, no. Not that I'm not playing. I don't care to look them up right now. Like they're not going to be people that I'm just looking into. So Silverman, one note on Silverman. Let me see this one. I wanted to see more. I said, what I didn't like about Silverman or was worried about a little bit was down the stretch last week once it got that wind picked up and everything like that. But maybe it was just more of the nerves at a PGA Tour event going down the stretch like that. But Ben Silverman, really solid today, actually. And I know he's got to finish out his round 1, but he's currently 2 under, 3 birdies, left the par 5 out there. Very solid on approach, and it's even across the board. Very solid, off the tee, around the green. Everything looks good except for the putter. And it's only really 1 really bad hole, but then a bunch of just little misses that shows you there's something out there that could be there. And one thing I like about a play like Silverman is get out there, finish the job, and then get right back out there and play again. Almost get like a little bit of a warm-up and then get to go out from there. So it's like you get a mulligan, right? Twofold. If he has a good hole 9, which is his hole 18 from round 1, probably feeling pretty good. Can ride that momentum right into taking off on the next round. But then if it's a bad hole, it's like, okay, shake it off. Let's go from there. And I said early, you said first, Steven, but I think Carson Young, it was just right here. We had it, 6,900. He's off at 8:13. I always forget these tee times and how they do them up versus is it my time zone, which is way ahead of everybody or not. It's 1 hour in the difference of Eastern time probably, but just of note, I would say that's, it's not first off, but he's going off early in the morning, which is what we talked about earlier. Anybody else that you guys want to see specifically? Because I don't want to keep rolling it too heavy here. I think we've been on 40 minutes now, so I'm just going to try and tie it out. But Carl's up there when you type in YU, he comes up. But Kevin Yu, 1, 2, 3, 4 birdies, an eagle, left the par 5 out there. Very solid on approach, pretty even across the board. I think Yu is definitely a play. Kevin, old man Kuchar, let me look him up for you. Terrible. Absolutely horrible. 1, 2 birdies, a double bogey, 1, 2 bogeys, a double bogey, 1 birdie on the entire day. Lost almost 3 strokes on approach. So even though it was just 1 bad hole on 17 where he lost a stroke and a half or more, the rest was horrible. The putter was just atrocious for whatever reason. 1, 2, 3, almost 4 holes losing almost a half stroke with the putter. So yeah, really bad. What do you think the cut will be? I don't know. Like I'm not the cut sweat guy. I don't care. Like I'll find out. I'll care tomorrow when I do. But just to look at it like live right now, let's see the live model. It is 2 or 3 under. Is what it looks like here. I know a lot of people were trending saying 3. It'll depend on how the morning goes. But if it goes the way we think it does, I definitely think you could see it get to 3. So that would sound about right. Shelton, I guess, could always go low. Kazire could always go low. Oh, Troy Merritt. Yeah, definitely fine, Nick. We talked about those, the 5 ones. But Troy Merritt, man, we said no to the flow chart this week because we didn't know it was going to be a birdie fest, but then it was. So he's got 4 birdie. He went out today. He left 2 of the par 5s. Yeah, Troy Merritt back in the mix tomorrow as well. He's down 6,500. He had 4 birdies, random birdies, 1 bogey, left 2 of the par 5s out there. Very solid on approach. Gained over 2.5 strokes on approach, and there wasn't there was 1 hole. One he gained 0.51, one he gained 6. So 0.6. So it's like he didn't do anything crazy special. It was just solid on approach across the board, solid off the tee, lost almost 2 strokes with the putter. It was like 2 really bad holes, but still, I could definitely go back to him. Goddard, someone mentioned. I'll pull that one up. I'll double up on Goddard. What do we got here? Goddard's going out early. Gained almost a stroke on approach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birdies. Took care of 2 of the 3 par 5s. Solid on approach. Lost with the putter. Yep, Goddard fits in. I think that's where you're getting into these guys. Like, it's not really. He was 50 something. I'm saying on the main slate he was cheap. The flow chart was: is Troy Merritt playing? Yes. Was he cheap? Yes. Is the field pretty weak? Not really. That was another angle of it. Usually it's a weak field, but it wasn't like a major or a signature event or something like that. And the price allowed me to get away with that one, but it's usually, is it a birdie fest? And I wasn't expecting this to be a birdie fest. But look, Goddard, Merritt. There was somebody else I was looking up there earlier, like Ryan Fox, Glover. Those guys, I think were fine. Who was the other guy? Someone threw it in the chat there earlier. I think maybe one more guy will round it out. Victor Perez, same price as Merritt tomorrow. Let me go pull his numbers up for a second. Another guy that has to play that last hole. This is even better though than the previous situation. So he gained 2 strokes plus on approach today, lost with the putter, had some big losses on certain holes. So that can get better. But 1, 2, 3, 4 birdies, an eagle, and a streak. Left 1 of the par 5s out there early on and still has the final par 5 to play. Now, you're not going to get any credit if he goes out there and makes a birdie on 18, but he's another guy like what I talked about earlier, where he gets to go out there and play that last hole and sort of mess around and get maybe a little bit of momentum, shake some early morning rust off. He's a little bit sleepy when he's out there first thing in the morning. He can knock all that off and go from there. But we will have you guys covered. If you guys do want to get in, go over to SHIPITNation.com. If you just want to get on the PGA side, today is the last day to get in for the Hoop 15 contest. So if you just want to try a month, you get a full month of everything that we talked about, everything here. You get a full month of the stone. Anybody in the chat can attest to this and let you know how good the stone is, or in the comments after the show. If you're watching it on playback and you use the stone, let people know. Best tool there is in PGA DFS that you guys can do it. If you use the code HOOP15, you will get 15% off, and that will lock in for your payment. It's not the first month or anything like that. You're locking in that option so that it will continuously renew at that price. I know you guys may have more questions. I do appreciate it, but we're going to wrap it up here. Tomorrow night, I'll be back right after the round for round 3. Appreciate everybody watching. That's going to do it for this one. For myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it.